Game 2 on the season between in-state rivals. It's the Evansville Purple Aces traveling to Price Field in Terre Haute, Indiana to take on the Indiana State Sycamores. It's looking like it's going to be a good one. The first game already so good between these two teams. My name's Landon Kleinorfer. With me, Kelsey Casper. Kelsey, these teams had great weekends overall, but Evansville able to get the dub, able to win that series.
Yeah, facing Southern Illinois, a solid team in the MVC. They took that series 2-1 after losing the first game 17-1. They gave up 17 runs in that first game, but were able to bounce back in the last two. Sydney Weatherford, the pitcher, coming up with 2 big wins.
Yeah, and you take a look at the scores for those games, like you said, 17-1 in the first one. 8 hits for SIU, but they could not get a run across in game number 3. Now, for the Sycamores, Indiana State, they don't win their series, but they're able to knock off the Panthers of UNI for the first time this season in conference play.
Yeah, Panthers came into this series undefeated. Indiana State snuck away with a win in Game 2. And it was thanks to Lauren Sackett on the mound. She had a career-tying 11 strikeouts in that game. So even though they lost the series, big momentum for Indiana State to knock off the top team in the MVC.
And the big player for UNI, it was Papillo in game number 3. She had 2 home runs. She went 4 for 4. She gets the newcomer of the week, a big nod for her. But let's see what that did to the standings overall in the Missouri Valley Conference. Indiana State stays true in the same spot that they were before the series started.
Yeah, coming into this game, both of these teams middle upper pack. Indiana State, this is going to be a big game for them to take the series, especially against Evansville. Evansville, big time win like we mentioned against Southern Illinois. That bumped them up a little bit in those rankings.
Benko working her way back in the circle with the 2-1 count. The swing and a miss there brings the count even 2-2.
Gotta wonder if Benko will go the whole game after having high pitch count in the first game of that doubleheader yesterday. But of course she's tough and she can definitely do it if she's able to keep it lower earlier in this game.
And one thing that I mentioned yesterday that really is the difference between these two teams is this one is going to go foul. Indiana State, very quick. They don't typically bring the pitch count up against the teams that they're playing. They might have a lot of hits, but yesterday we saw Lexi Benko had around 112 pitches through the first 7 innings. Meanwhile, Pepkowski was only working with about 87 pitches, but it was a close game. The pitch count didn't really reflect anything on the game. It's just something that Indiana State does. They bat quickly. As this one is going to be grounded out to Grace Hunger, and so 2 seniors get a touch on the ball here for the first 2 outs.
One thing I noticed here today, of course, for Loyola compared to yesterday is they're swinging a lot more. With those 10 strikeouts yesterday, 5 were looking. They know they got to make contact. And, of course, doing it now, just not able to get on base.
And so now it's going to be the designated player, Abby Jacobson. Jacobson, like I talked about, had an incident sliding back into second yesterday in game number 2. She is back today in the designated player role. Benko throws this one low and ties up the count 1-1. And there are certainly some implications here in this game. We talked about the Missouri Valley Conference tournament coming up after this weekend. Well, you look at the conference records, 10-16, 10-15. Loyola Chicago able to win this series. They would tie up the conference records. They would be playing the 10 seed instead of the 9 seed. Regardless, both teams are going to be playing on Thursday.
Yeah, and of course, you look at Indiana State especially. They want to get back on track. They were around 500, still are, but tapered off a little bit as of late. Would like to get back towards there with a win today to go to 24-26.
2-2 count here with 2 down the top of the first. And a swing and a miss. That one's dropped. Tokarek gets the throw out to Henning, and that will do it for the top of the first inning. No run, no hits, no errors, and we head to the bottom of the first. You're watching the Valley on ESPN.
Our score is
9 home runs as this one gets lined straight to the third baseman, and the throw goes high. Garcia heads to second, and they will eat the throw as Garcia stands on second. So that was a $1 million play right there at third base by Sinskell. It just the throw was well off.
Yeah, that was a great throw or a great catch there, a great snag. Of course, able to keep it in the infield, but not the right decision there with the throw.
Yeah, and because of the throw, you really end up with the same situation had the ball gone into the outfield. As Lexi Sywick will come up with a runner in scoring position and no out. She gets the bunt down. It goes straight to Pepkowski. She looks to third, and Garcia was already there. Sywick will be out at first, but she advances the runner here with one out and cuts the distance in half for Garcia. And Sywick has been doing that all season long. She's become very good at advancing runners. You saw that little look from Pepkowski. By the time she looked, Garcia was already behind her. And now Danielle Henning will come up in game 2. She went 1 for 2. We talked about how she's had a decent first 2 games against Loyola Chicago. See if she can continue that. And they will take a quick break to have a conversation in the circle. Danielle Henning, a .256 hitter on the season, and really a big story, the fact that, you know, she wasn't really seeing much time last season. She was a pinch runner for the most part, but now she has really made a splash on this team and has assisted in quite a bit. She's got 5 doubles, 14 RBIs. She's had a nice season here in her sophomore year.
Yeah, and you're hoping that that can continue going forward in the next season. Of course, this season not done yet.
But after the break, it'll be a 1-0 count to Henning. She's looking to add to her RBI totals as Garcia awaits on third base. And we take a look at the scores around the Valley. ISU brought to you by ISU Credit Union, as these are both of these games will be at 12 Central Time. And the Evansville-Valpo game, looking forward to that one. As Valpo, they're towards the bottom, but trying to get a little bit of momentum. Loyola Chicago had a tough time with them in the regular season. And the count 1-1 here with one out. Pepkowski's pitch. Henning shows bunt. Fouls it back into the net. So a 1-2 count here. Obviously with the 1-2, you don't expect there to be a bunt. That's a nice thing for Loyola. They can take a breath there, step back a little bit. But you know Henning's going to be swinging away as she takes ball 2.
Yeah, and she's dangerous right now. Danielle Henning is, as she's got a 5-game hit streak, hit in 7 of her past 8 games.
This one gets flown in the air, and it'll be into the stands. Maybe a Mother's Day souvenir for somebody. So we'll try that one more time. The count stays 2-2. On deck, Abby Chips, then we'll be back to the top of the lineup for Indiana State. Two-two pitch is swung on and just barely hit towards the circle, and instead of going to first to get the out, Pepkowski tries to get it to third. Garcia slides in and she's safe. And now, not really sure what was going on there. Henning took off for second, trying to get into a pickle and possibly score the run. Instead, they will not be fooled. Something we saw actually yesterday happen to Indiana State. Indiana State ended up falling into that trap, trying to get the out at first base. One run ended up scoring. And so now, Coach Pernicero coming out for a little meeting with the first base umpire. Not sure what this conversation is about, but it will warrant a meeting between the officials. Not sure what they're talking about, but if I had to guess, it has something to do with putting Henning on second base. If I had to guess.
Yeah, I'm not even sure what happened there because we were so focused on Garcia, and curious to see what comes of this. But of course, for Loyola, it's important to hold Garcia at third, not allow her to score the run, but unfortunate you're not able to get the out there at first.
And so an explanation to Coach Pernicero. And it seems like he will be okay with that decision. Let's see how Loyola Chicago takes it, depending on what it is. And we will try to get it sorted out. And this seemed like a pretty standard operation, as it was a grounder straight to Pepkowski. Instead of throwing the ball to first to get the out, Garcia had stretched herself out from third a little bit. She slides back into third, safe, and now runners on the corners. And it looks like nothing is going to change. So runners on the corners for Indiana State. And Grace Hunger going to come up.
Next up, shortstop,
Hunger,
9,
one of the 4
Grace
seniors.
Hunger.
18 at-bats this season. As this one goes into left field towards the wall, and it is gone! Wow, Grace Hunger hits a home run on the first pitch on senior day, her first home run of the season, not just first home run. It's her first hit of the season.
Talk about a great way to have a senior day as the team's fired up to take a 3-0 lead for Indiana State thanks to the senior Grace Hunger.
How about a 3-1 blast here in the bottom of the second inning, and a big moment that Grace Hunger will remember forever.